Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mount Tabor Grand Lodge, the path to enlightenment. We are and have been covering Masonic maturity through scripture, chapter by chapter. It's in hopes that it offers us enlightenment and help to elevate our intellectual and moral levels. This book will do the same for you. Today, we're going to talk about chapter 2, which is leadership. Hit it kind of hard, maybe step on some toes, including mine, okay? Because none of us are perfect. But the objective is to learn as we go and share as we learn so that all elevate themselves to a godly level of purpose and accomplishments, if you will. So we have Brother Al Brothers and Brother John Moore on today. We're going to talk about leadership, chapter 2, in the Masonic maturity through scripture. By the way, this book can be purchased on Amazon.com. So, good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Okay. Just a side note, with Masons, you're either fellows or brothers. Both are acceptable in addressing one another.
Yes, sir.
So the big question we're starting off with, what is leadership? I'm posing that question to y'all.
I guess leadership is the ability to direct not only your abilities, but the abilities of others into a specific destination or point of attack. As a leader, you have to, for one, you have to take not only what's best for you into consideration, but you have to take what's best into everybody for consideration. So to be a leader, you have to, number one, you have to be selfless. You can't be a person who's currently motivated and just, caught up in what you want, because what you want may not always be the right thing, and how you feel is irrelevant. So when you are a leader, you have to operate on a set of standards, morals, and principles. And you have to basically get outside of yourself and do what's best for the whole.
Okay.
And if you can look at it with that mentality, then that's the first part of being a leader.
Okay.
And I'm gonna just leave it there.
All right. Brother
I think,
Moore?
I think from brother Al's perspective, that's leadership when you got it by a moral compass, because there are leaders that have no moral compass, and leadership to me, you got to have the ability. You have the ability to delegate and the ability to influence others. So that could be good or bad.
Okay. Okay. Absolutely. We all have influence. Okay. We all have influence. And so the question is whether or not we're influencing people in a positive sense or a negative sense. Yes. Brother Serge, welcome. Hello, can you hear us? Okay, well, he's there. So, but yeah, leadership is the ability to lead people towards a desired end. As far as the requirements for leadership, let's talk on that for a little bit, because oftentimes we will see people in leadership and think, oh, I can do that. They're not doing anything great or what have you. But what are the requirements? What's necessary to be a leader? Brother Serge, you might want to turn on your camera and your mic. Hello.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm all right, Grant. How are you?
Good, good. Welcome. And if you choose to, you can put on your camera.
All right. Okay, thank you. Let me see.
So what's the requirements to be a leader? What does it take? What's necessary?
I think you got to be, in a sense, selfless. One requirement is to be selfless.
Okay. Okay. You know, when we go from one degree to another, there's a question that we always ask. Or is he worthy and well qualified?
Well qualified, yeah, exactly.
Before you go into leadership, that question should be answered.
Yeah.
Are you worthy and well qualified?
Indeed. My father used to have a saying, and that was a person cannot teach what he does not know, and a person cannot lead where he does not go. So you have to know what you're doing, you know.
Exactly.
Okay, absolutely. So I'm in my way of thinking, that requires study, it requires prayer, and it requires application. And of course, the second thing, prayer, is kind of deceiving, because when we think about praying, we think about what we're saying, okay, and not really what we're listening to or hearing. So you talk and you listen. You pray and you listen for a response, because that's what you're supposed to apply. Now, you Brother Al, you mentioned being selfless, and that is definitely a requirement, because it's all about the greater good, and that's how Masons should carry themselves. It's about the greater good. Me and my wife have 2 cars, and both of them are raggedy. Do I get me one, or do I get her one? Okay. You know, I want to go left, she want to go right, and left and going right benefits the whole household. What do I do? Is it just my ego that I'm going to follow, or what? So that's what you're talking about when you say selfless. In other words, let's look at the greater good. Now, the best way, a good way to become a good leader is to emulate or try your best to become what's called a cube. In other words, be the same all the time, the same every place, okay? And approach every situation in the same strategic, methodically, logical way. Because if you have that consistency, then you become dependable.
Yes.
You become loyal.
Loyal.
You have integrity, because people know how you are. And it used to tickle me, because some of the guys would ask, well, how's Grandmaster Way? Oh man, you know how Way is, you know. And at first it kind of offended me, because I'm going, that has a kind of a negative connotation. Right. But if you truly know who I am and how I am, then okay, you know what I'm going to accept and what I'm going to reject. You know where I stand. And that's the way a Mason should be. A person should know where a Mason stands. The world presents us with this, that, and the other, but a Mason should be standing steadfast on his principles and precepts.
Well, I guess that's why we say, and keep me steadfast.
That's one of the most powerful prayers that we can pray. Yeah. Remember, we got 3 evils that are constantly attacking us: the world, the devil, and our flesh. So we need all the help we can to stay steadfast. So when you are like a cube, and that should be the foundational symbol for a master mason, you are all the time to be the same in all situations. You don't have a work you, you don't have a family you don't have a social you, okay? Titus 2:7-8 says, in all things show yourself as an example of good deeds with purity in doctrine, dignified with sound speech. We're talking about being a leader.
Sir.
So what are we talking about when we say purity in doctrine?
That you believe?
Be true to your principles. What you say, say what you mean what you say, and do exactly what you say.
Yes, sir.
Don't be a hypocrite.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a hard thing.
Yeah. That's it right there.
It's a hard thing.
That's a hard thing.
That'll get you criticized.
Right.
Because see, I want you to do what I want you to do.
Right.
Brother Serge, you have a comment?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I think that, aligning with you guys, the word is so important that when we think about what you're about to say, we need to think about the consequences of this word. So by thinking that way, we trigger our mind to respect whatever comes out of our mouth, and knowing that will really match the spirit that's behind any deed and any action. So I agree with you guys.
Outstanding. Oh, Brother Serge is from South Carolina.
Okay, great.
Okay. He called me the other day, and I told him, I said, hey, you're welcome to join in on the conversation.
I appreciate that.
So as Master Masons, as leaders, we must demand better than our best, if we're going to be an effective leader. Because here's the deal. People are seeking authentic people, not perfect people, but authentic. Do you have some standards, some principles, some precepts that you stand by that I can say, okay, I know I can go to Moore because Moore is this type of guy? That's what it all boils down to. Us being the same, being a cube. Each of us have been endowed with God-given passions that will reveal our place in leadership. Now, that's another word we need to talk about a little bit, and that's passions.
Okay.
Because you said you came to do what?
So
do your passion and improve yourself.
Okay. Now, there's two types of passions.
Yes.
Okay. Good and bad. Okay. So we gotta understand which ones we're attacking, which ones we want to eliminate. Because to be passionate about the Masonic order, to be passionate about your church, to be passionate about God, that's all good. But if you're passionate about Bluebell ice cream, Jack Daniels, that's a different gambling, that's a different situation.
Right.
Okay. So we talk here also about 5 things that can destroy a leader. Brother Al, you got your book there. Kind of expound on number 1, if you will. Briefly.
Yes, sir. The leader, through ego, fails to address glaring character weaknesses. The leader says that this is one thing and does another. Basically goes back to what Brother Moore was just saying. I believe Shakespeare said it best in Hamlet, Act 5, to thy own self be true.
Exactly.
If you can't keep it real with yourself, you're not gonna keep it real with nobody else. So you have to, number one, like I said, you got to keep it real. Number two, we talked earlier about selfless. You gotta let that ego go. It's not about what you want. It's not about you shining, because you're a leader. You represent the whole, the team. And as a leader, like I said, we have to, number one, be concerned for the wholeness of everybody, for the wellness of everybody. And in doing that, you have to, whatever it is that may be in your way,
Okay.
but whether it's, it doesn't matter what it is, whatever weakness that you have to get rid of it, because
Okay.
it cause, the whole group to flounder, and that's just something that's unacceptable. So not only do you have to be true, you just basically have to stay true to the system and stay true to God's word. Now, if you can do that, and like I said, it's being a Christian, standing on your principles, on that guy, and if you can do that,
we're gonna come back to that weakness deal with number 4.
okay.
Number 2, brother Moore, you got your book with you?
Yeah, I got it.
Talk to us about number 2.
Okay, the leader, for his own fear, uses of deception, disinformation, or half-truths to safeguard himself. Any twist of the truth in any way is a lie and a sure sign you're in trouble. Okay. Right there, that's saying to me, basically your fears, based on being found out, it tied into like number 1 a little bit.
Yeah.
Not doing that ego, and then doing one thing and teaching one thing, and then through your own fears, you act one way, a certain way, because you're trying to cover up and you're being deceptive. You're not constantly true. You're not true in anything at this point because you're being deceptive. So you can't be an effective leader because you're always trying to cover up something,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Brother Serge, do you have your windows down?
So let me check right quick. No, I don't know why. From I'm on the highway.
He riding high, got sunroof, all that other good stuff. Oh, got 2 roofs or whatever. I don't know.
I'm just gonna have to park my right.
Okay. The thing about number 2 that really gets me,
Mm-hmm.
and it says any twist of the truth
Yeah.
in any way is a lie. Now, last week we talked a little bit about sifting. Okay. In other words, taking a little away at a time. And that's what the world can do with us, or to us, and the devil and so forth, can take a little bit away from our integrity, a little bit away from our faith at a time. And little lies mount up. They become comfortable. If I ask you where you been, and you say, well, I went to the supermarket, but you also went to Fred's house, okay, or to the bar, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
My question was simple: where have you been?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a half truth. Is what you gave me. Growing up, my mama I used to tell my mother, I'm going to Craig's house. Okay. But I went to Craig, I went to AC, I went to Truman's, I went to John's house. Okay. Where you been? I've been to Craig's house. Okay. But I've been to Ace's, I've been to Truman's, I've been to John's, So it's the truth is the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what we have to really lock in on, because you never know when. In other words, we talk about if we're going down the road and one of you turn just a little bit to the left, how far we wind up from one another simply by moving 5 degrees. Okay? So we got to be cognizant of the little things. Remember, every big thing started out as a little thing.
Yeah.
Am I right?
You're right.
And so it should be with leadership. Leadership has to be on point. Number 3, the leader lacks temperance in speech and actions. A leader who cannot control his passions is a danger to himself and to others. Again, we go back to the cues. Okay? We got all sides, all 6 sides. You've got to be in control of your vessel. Number 4, the leader leans on his own strength and understanding. He doesn't seek guidance from God and the good counsel of others, so he loses his teach ability. And we go back to number 1, okay? Some weaknesses we have, we just can't get over.
Yeah.
There are some flaws in our character or our personality that is a mountain to get across, to get over. So what do you do in that case?
You have to start listening to the Holy Spirit.
Seeking good counsel.
Yeah, seeking good
Those
counsel.
2 things right there. Listening to the Holy Spirit and seek good counsel. If you don't have somebody in your camp, in your corner, that will tell you the truth, like it or not, that will tell you the truth, whether you like it or not, then you're in trouble.
And also, we have to listen. You talk about leadership, you still have to have the ability to listen. And that's why I said he loses the ability to teach, because you, as you're leading, you're steady learning. And as you're teaching, you're steady learning. And so you steady need to listen also. And that's the big part of communication. How can you communicate with a person if you're always talking and you never listen?
Okay, but I'm the leader. And whatever I come up with, the idea I come up with, I want you to join in.
Right.
Hitler was a leader. You know what I'm saying?
But hey, everybody got to check up somewhere. I mean, have a check system somewhere. And that's what I do like about the American democracy. There's a check and balance system. And our check and balance system is our moral standards and guiding compass, which is our VSL and our ritual. So, we want up, well, we're a lot up on the world, but we just, if we can follow those things right there, we'll be squared away.
Okay. Number 5, the 5th thing that can destroy a leader is the leader violates the law of solid ground. The law of solid ground.
Oh, well.
Now when we take our oath, we pray that prayer at the end, and keep me steadfast. That means you want to have your feet on solid ground. Now, that solid ground is the Bible. No leader can operate on this is a special case, or God will understand, or the end justify the means. Those are 3 statements that perpetrate error. Those are 3 statements. This is a special case. God will understand. The end justify the means. Those are 3 statements that are used to justify error in actions or in a decision.
See, I hear people say often that the Bible is good in its place because the world we live in, like other leaders say this, that the Bible is good. Bible is good in its place. If this was a perfect world, the Bible would be perfect, right? But those leaders are leaning upon their own understanding, and they're not guided when you think about it by the Holy Spirit, because if this world was perfect, we wouldn't need a Bible. At that point.
Okay. I can't argue that point. And again, we became Masons to better ourselves. We became Masons to improve our stature in life, our standard of living, and to contribute to society.
Yeah.
So where do you get that information from?
Yeah.
The Bible.
So the place for the Bible is in the world.
Yeah, it's
Right.
in the world. But see, that's the whole thing. Also, you know, with the world and the way that things are going, and I think the one thing we have to be on guard for is the gradual compromise. And just because, you know, the world, it tries to justify things, and it always goes against the word of God because it's carnal.
Yeah.
And so you can just basically, you know, the way that life is going with homosexuality and everything else, you know, now this is deemed lawful. And so that's another compromise in the system.
Yeah. Well, it says here that violation of the law of solid ground often causes the most damage, and it requires the greatest amount of time for recovery, if recovery is even possible.
Possible.
Because again, once you start down the wrong road, it's really tough to come back into the fold. Now, 1 Timothy 3, verses 1 through 7, and Titus 1, chapter 1, 5 through 9, gives us about 28 qualifications for leadership. So when we talk about using the Bible, hey, there's the qualifications for leadership. And I put them in 3 categories: character traits, family traits, and abilities. So if you want to be a good leader, you go to those 2 books in the Bible and those scriptures and review those. So we're told, again, in the Masonic order, there's nothing to guess about. We told everything that we need to know. We're given everything that we need to move forward.
Yeah. I think also we just have to keep in mind that we're here to serve. And a lot of time when people get in leadership, they forget that they're there to serve, and they think that they're there to be served.
Exactly.
And,
that is a very good point. That is a very good point. If I'm sitting back waiting for you to do something for me because I'm the wishful master or the grand master or the pastor or whatever the case may be, I am totally wrong. I am put in a position to serve you. That's the purpose of a leader, to serve the people, to render some organization, some decency, some order into the lives of their craft.
Listen, I think when people understand that or come to that understanding of being a leader, a lot of people might not want to be a leader at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
Because a lot of people don't want to serve. They want to be served.
Well, you as a lodge member have to be particular about how you, who you put in leadership with your vote.
Right.
Okay. And then the other thing you want to do is be particular in, be very, what's the word? Careful, cautious, in which lodge you join, or what church you attend, you join.
Right.
Because again, you want to identify someone that has your best interest at heart. That's what a wishful master that's how he should feel about his people. Their best interest is his priority. And so you want to make sure you're with that type of leader.
Comment?
Go ahead.
When you said that right there, it just took me right back to number 2 about the half-truths and safeguarding yourself. And that's, that's obviously a characteristic of a bad leader, because he's trying to cover things up to protect himself from the truth of what's going on. And like I say, that's a bad predicament to be in, because in the bitter end, it just means that things are really going to fall apart.
Absolutely. Now, I do say here, remember, what someone does with you, they will do to you. It is critical that we do not circumvent God's plan. God's plan from day one was one of multiplication, which means we are to produce another after our own kind. So when a person does something with you, they will do it to you. When they help you overthrow, create disharmony in the lodge, when you're a leader, they're going to do it to you. So you have to be careful about what you do and what seeds you sow. And again, if they're not acting as a cube, okay, then you don't want to associate with them anyway.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to what they say, harmony being the strength of all societies, and you can sow seeds of harmony and brotherhood, or you can sow seeds of discord. It's all, like you said, it's all about what you do.
So anyway, moving right along, to the God-chosen leader, leadership is who they are and what they do, not a position they hold and not a title. Hello.
Yes, sir.
That next sentence says, God doesn't call us to titles. He calls us into service.
Yes, sir.
Bottom line, you're called to serve. So that is something that you have to accept, understand and accept before you accept a leadership position.
Yes, sir.
The monkey is on your back. And using you as an example, Brother Al, in the construction business or what have you, the monkey is on your back to get the project done. So you have me working for you. The monkey is on your back to teach me, get me proficient so that I can perform what I need to perform and contribute to the overall success of the project.
Yes, sir.
So it's in teaching me, you're serving me. Okay, you're giving me some good and wholesome instruction. So rather than complaining or gossiping about what you see opportunities to do what leaders do, solve problems. People will tell you, well, man, my lodge did this, my lodge did that, all they did is this or that, or whatever the case may be. The obvious question is, what did you do? What did you do to solve the problem?
Yeah. Well, like you say, as a leader, we have to have vision and we have to have the ability to think. And a lot of times, as you would say, we have to recognize and adjust, and then we have to adapt and overcome. So knowing that failure is not an option, knowing that we have to succeed, not just for ourselves, but for the whole, you have to be able to be flexible.
Okay. Okay. We talk about the Bible, and it is one of the greatest leadership books, probably the greatest leadership book ever printed. In the Bible, it talks about Jesus and the method he used to create disciples, right? He recruited his disciples. He taught his disciples, correct?
Sure.
Then what did he do?
He sent them out in pairs to make more disciples.
To do what?
To make more disciples, to multiply.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If the Masonic order is a handmaiden to the Bible, now this is touchy here, okay? This is touchy. Y'all might. If the Masonic order is a handmaiden to the Bible, you've heard that before, right?
Yes.
Then what is a Wishful Master or a Grand Master supposed to do?
He's supposed to be trying to bring people into contact with God and build. I guess, and build the
So
lodge.
what is your Blue Lodge and your Grand Lodge supposed to do?
Same thing, multiply and bring people to God, leadership, because we're trying to create a better society for one. And if in order to do that, we got to follow the precepts of the Bible.
Okay.
Because something you were saying earlier about your doctrine, right? And I was in my head, I was like, if all of us followed had a moral compass and we followed our doctrine as individual people, and as individuals, all of us in our own proper place at the proper time, or whatever the situation may be, if we all did that, that'll help make society a little bit better, or civilization better. Then you said something about what someone would do with you, they'll do to you. And I was thinking about you were saying it about in the lodge, and I'm like, think about that. If you do it in the lodge, think about the leaders in countries that have overthrown countries, right?
Yeah.
And people have helped them, and only to be overthrown by the people who helped them overthrow countries years later.
That's right.
So if we take what we're learning in the lodge, and we're men like that way, the men that we're supposed to be, because we're supposed to be the examples, and if we're putting all that out there, that energy out there into the world, then the world could be a better place, because we wouldn't have a lot of the mess that we got going on that you see all over the place right now. So we're supposed to be multiplying that. We're supposed to be we're supposed to be growing and multiplying and turning out good men to where they could be the ones in these places doing all of that.
Okay, now in Freemasonry and in the lodge, we talked about it earlier before recording. You told you can travel, you can visit lodges, you can fellowship with brothers across the world, in all corners of the world and so forth. But however, in your lodge, you're going from Jacksonville to Orlando, from Houston to Dallas. You're going to Supremes in the same state, and not really given the freedom to really travel and use what you are taught.
Right.
Okay. That's wrong on the leader's part by not exposing the craft to further to other brothers and other jurisdictions and other writs. Okay. And I'm saying a writ is like a PHA, PHO, FA, F and AM, AF and AM. Those are different. Those are different.
Scottish Rite York, right?
Yeah, those are just different houses, because Masonry, as brother past Grand Master Tony Muhammad says, and I agree, Freemasonry is a society.
Exactly.
And that society is composed of different houses.
Right.
Okay, which we just named. Now, the thing is, if we are handmaiden to the Bible and we're supposed to emulate the walk of Jesus and so forth, then that means we get men into the Masonic order, we teach them, we aid and assist them in becoming proficient as men, as Christians. And then we want to send them out to multiply, right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
So how do we provide a man avenues for growth if we have the same 7 leaders in the Blue Lodge or Grand Lodge year after year after year after year?
You don't. Anything that doesn't grow dies. That's anything. That's
Withers away.
yeah. And we
So
don't
what are
make
y'all?
music
So what are y'all saying?
that
If you got a Blue Lodge and now you have 25 members in your Blue Lodge.
that
All of
we
us should be growing and multiplying and becoming better men, and then reaching out like to other jurisdictions. Because as you were saying that, like those grand lodges with those older leaders and things like that, they're the ones stuck in their ways. Whereas, you know, cause of course I've heard things, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure younger brothers in your jurisdiction, I've heard things and from elder members and whatnot, and then they get into all the history and all this and that, which doesn't matter. But then the way it shouldn't matter, but you go out and see the world and see brothers like you traveling, coming. You just came back from Brazil, last month, right?
Yeah.
You know, so you see a brother like you coming back, you know, going all over. You reaching out to, but we had one brother maybe a while back. I saw when I first got on the podcast with you. You had a brother, I think, in Italy.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're pushing forward. So those 25 brothers in a lodge in a particular jurisdiction, they have to be willing to, you know what I'm saying, to take those precepts that we're learning in those tenets in the Masonic order, you know, what we're learning, and then be willing to expand and have an open mind, and then actually live by, practice the Bible, follow the precepts of Christ. We have to actually do that, you know. We got to do that.
So I guess what he's saying is that we can't be hypocritical towards the things that we're obligated to do. And that's
hold it right there. Hold it right there. Because here's the thing. Our goal and objective is to have a lodge in Dallas where you are, with you being the wishful master. And then you have your senior warden, junior warden, secretary, treasurer, and you got your stewards and deacons and your title. So you got your officers already set. Okay. And then you have another 25 men in your Blue Lodge. The thing for you to do, if you're going to be a handmaiden to the Bible, if you're going to emulate what is taught in our volume of sacred law, which is the Bible, is to take some of those men and start a new Blue Lodge. Because if you go from 25 to 35 men, you're really feeding your ego. And you are not giving these men a chance to move into leadership.
Okay.
So Jesus taught and then sent them out to multiply. At the same time, we are to teach and then send our brothers out to multiply. And you multiply by creating another lodge. Hold on a minute. You can even multiply by creating another grand lodge. Now, if you really want to affect society, then create different lodges. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Now y'all go talk to your daddy about that, Brother Moore, and watch
Yeah.
them. They're watching. They're gonna want to hit you all upside the head, man. Ain't no grandmaster go. Grandmaster, he got 200 men in his Grand Lodge, or 100 men in his Grand Lodge. Okay, and you say, why don't you take, Brother Moore? Why don't you take these 30 men and start another Grand Lodge? Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just gave some men an opportunity to be leaders, to use what we've been teaching them.
Right.
But if we don't, they still just part of the herd. And we are supposed to be in the business of establishing with strength leaders for godly
sir.
purposes. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're right.
Now,
Can't even argue that.
be prepared if you got if you run into a brother and you talk about, man, we got 30 brothers in our lives. Well, man, why did y'all start another lodge? That's not common. But if you look at the principles, the process,
Multiplying. Yeah.
go, be fruitful, and multiply. Set up a church here, set up a church here. Remember Paul and the
Yeah.
apostles went out and set up churches?
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's, like you say, you got to check that ego. That's the biggest thing. Like,
We go out, we should go out and set up lodges. Okay.
Right.
Brother Serge, y'all get to talking this, you might get ran out of town. But
yeah. Because now you're asking them to give up half of what they got. So, you know, somebody else can do something. And then if they want to shine, they certainly don't want to be outshone or,
Right.
but the thing is that their thinking is off. If they're thinking like that, they need to be out of office, basically, at that point.
I'm not gonna
I'm just gonna be quiet.
I'm not gonna go that far, but at the same time, you know, again, if I'm teaching you to be a leader, when do you have an opportunity to lead?
Lead, yeah.
Okay. I mean, everybody can't be the wishful master. So if Brother Moore helps you build your lodge to the point where you have, like I say, 25 or so men, okay, then you should be the type of leader that say, hey man, you've been loyal, you've been here through thick and thin, you are worthy and well qualified. Here, you take these 10 men and set up another lodge and talk to the Grand Master and say, I want to set up another lodge. You become Moore's mother lodge, basically, because you've given birth to a different lodge. Now your Grand Lodge has grown.
That's the real accomplishment, yeah.
Okay. And have more effect upon the community. Because you've given men an opportunity to do what they were taught to do. Just an idea. Just an idea.
And then the flip side of that is that if you don't give them that opportunity, what happens then? You know, do they become disinterested, you know, because there's no room for growth and opportunity? You know, do they fall out or go somewhere else? I mean, you know.
Brother Al, I submit to you that most of them don't even think in terms of growth and opportunity.
Right. They have a herd mentality.
Yeah, they got the herd mentality, but you're constantly trying to teach them to be leaders, okay? But they have that herd mentality. So they don't think about the fact that, and I've never heard anybody else ever say, well, hey, when you grow your lodge to 25, 30 men or Grand Lodge to 150, 200 men, who has an opportunity to lead? We're teaching them to be leaders, but when do they have an opportunity?
Right.
And they won't unless we break off and multiply ourselves by creating another Grand Lodge or another Blue Lodge. Ain't never heard nobody talk like that.
Never. That's almost heresy there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that would cause people to learn a lot more and to do a lot more, to have to study a lot more. Like you said, that would cause people to be more active, but I guess it's hard to make people want more for themselves, though.
Well, imagine how Moore feels about you being a wishful master, then you passed the mantle on to him to be and made him a wishful master of his own lodge. how much loyalty is he gonna have to you?
He's gonna be real loyal to you.
Right.
That's what I say. That's the true mark of excellency. I guess it's not maybe having that lodge filled with 200 people, but saying that, you know, we've been able to establish lodges here and lodges there, and these lodges have grown, and that could be the true growth there, because like I said, you could be 200 strong here, but you saying, like you say, 10 to 20 over here, and they get to come to 50 or to 100, even if they don't come to 200, you know, you've grown that amount because you birthed that.
Yeah. So the leader of a lodge should be God sent with evidence of such in his lifestyle. A leader's objective is to move the organization forward, and while doing so, create a process of duplication.
Mm.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Now, what organization are you supposed to be moving forward?
Well, lodge, Masonic order.
Start at the basics. Your Blue Lodge, your Grand Lodge, the Masonic order. Okay. Your church. You should be moving forward in all of those areas. Okay. To be a leader, you must first master serving. We talked about that a little bit. And the three things to consider in choosing a leader is spirituality, humility, and integrity. So there are 5 things that a great leaders choose to do to maintain integrity. Is this me? Okay. Those 5 things are listed there. And of course, we talk a word on humility. Finally, all of you have unity of mind, sympathy, brotherly love, a tender heart, and a humble mind. Both God and the Masonic order reward service, not tenure, not monetary gifts, not academia, just service. In other words, in all labor, there's profit. Regardless of whether I'm the wishful master and you're the deacon, okay, or the steward, or the member sitting in the north, God rewards service. Providing service displays humility. In Masonry, humility precedes exaltation. Bottom line. The other key word is integrity. A man or a Mason of integrity will never willfully or intentionally do anything to hurt, harm, or hinder another man or Mason, known or unknown. And in time, your level of integrity is always revealed.
So we should never talk down on anybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even if he doesn't come back and tell me what you said, you've already put a mark on your character and your integrity. And sooner or later, it will be revealed.
Good. You could go back there if you want and just put some other eyes on it. Okay. Yeah. Find everything all right?
I couldn't. You work here? Actually, I was looking for the King James version.
Okay.
Oh.
So, a word on integrity. Integrity suggests the quality of being deeply in love with yourself, your soul, and your spirit, so that you live as your own person, unaffected or minimally affected by what others want you to do or be. Okay, can y'all expound anything about that?
That you really need to find out what your abilities are, your likes and your dislikes, and be true to that, and work within that area, and don't alter from that. Regardless of what people say to try to influence you, it's just like our things from the Bible, our standards from the, in our precepts. We can't falter from that either. We have to stay true to that. So we need to, number one, stay true to ourselves once again, to the things that we really hold dear in our heart. So if you follow what you really want to do, and that you've been led by the Spirit, that's what you need to do. Now, if you go outside of that, now you're leaning not even if it's not towards your understanding, but not towards somebody else's understanding. So you definitely not being spiritually led.
Yeah. But see, when it talks here about integrity suggests a quality of being deeply in love with yourself. Okay. Now, that almost sounds negative.
Right. Almost like
Okay.
narcissism.
It almost sounds negative. But then it goes on to say, with yourself, your soul, and your spirit.
Yes.
So that you live as your own person. Now I'm saying, I believe in me, I love me, and I'm going to maintain my doctrine for life, and not let the world or my friends or anything else deter me and hinder my, lower my integrity level.
Yeah.
That's why I love me. So Al, I'm not going to let you dump that garbage in my ear.
Right.
Okay. Because if I hear it at some point in time, it might come back to me, to my remembrance. So I don't need it in the first place. Okay. Psalms 25:2, King David prayer for deliverance is, let integrity and uprightness preserve me, for I wait for you. Emphasis on preserve me. So this word integrity is paramount. Super, super, super important. We got to get this right, because if not, we vacillate back and forth. Okay, remember, God will understand. Oh, I'm just doing what was that called? A little white lie?
Yeah. They said to do a little leaven the whole lump.
So
yeah,
living in integrity requires a certain amount of courage and intelligence. Ooh. Now, a person that has no integrity is a coward and stupid or dumb. Why are they a coward?
Because
they're afraid to stand on principle. They go along with everything.
Okay. And why would you say they're dumb or stupid?
Because it takes courage to do the right thing. And so if you're not doing what's right for you, then obviously you're stupid, because you don't care about yourself. You don't love yourself because you're not doing right by yourself. And that's not just stupidity, that's it's craziness, But you see it all the time. People don't do right by themselves. That's the world that we live in.
Yeah. We are in the world, but not of the world.
Right.
It often means being having integrity often means going against the grain of society in some ways. That means you don't accept everything society says is okay. You got to have courage to do that.
Yeah.
And you have to have knowledge in order to develop a personal living doctrine. And in doing so, you acquire the education you need to stand steadfast. So if you're going to have integrity, you have to be a steadfast type person. Cube. I keep going back to the cube. That is the one symbol that explains and represents a master mason. Last week we talked about going into the Holy of Holies. You should not be in there if you're not a cube. You should not be in the Holy of Holies if you cannot stand steadfast on principles and precepts of Freemasonry and of the Bible. You should not be in the Holy of Holies or be allowed to enter it, okay, if you are not set and solid as a master mason, because that's where you commune with God.
Yeah. And if you're not getting your guidance from him, then you can't be a good leader. Not a good
Absolutely.
spiritual leader.
Getting it from somewhere, and anything with two heads is a freak, like my brothers say all the time.
Absolutely. And the teachings of Masonry, just as the word of God, should bring revelation to us, not information.
Mm.
Revelation, not information.
Now that's deep. I like that because I'll be watching things and I'm looking at brothers that's teaching, and then they doing their best, but they looking for information. It's like a lot of brothers come to the order because they're trying to hold on to what we had in the past, what the order supposedly had in the past, all the mythical stuff. They're looking like it's like they're almost looking for something that's not there, in my opinion, as opposed to looking within themselves to be the best version of themselves right now. They're looking for something. Well, I'm a Mason, so I'm set apart, which we should be, and everybody should be able to tell by your actions, but not because you went off a bunch of useless information that really benefits nobody. It just sounds good.
Yeah.
That's when Grandmaster asked me earlier if I had went out and bought a whole bunch of stuff, and I hadn't yet because I thought about it and I started to right off the bat, but I started to go get the car insignias and everything else. But then I said, then everybody would know, particularly, not that I don't want them to know, but then, but that kind of puts you under the gun, you know. And right now I'm kind of flying under the radar. So,
Okay.
yeah, just, not said, just trying to look and learn in the beginning, and
Well, the world lives and operates according to information.
Yeah.
Okay. Bottom line, the world system is one of hopelessness unless you have this or that. The world system will cause a person to compromise their integrity. But again, if you're operating off of revelation, you're going to be set and stand steadfast. And as a leader, you should be dependable. You should be loyal. You should be known to your people in terms of what your doctrine is and what it represents.
Right. Like you said earlier, when they say, how Brother Ware is, well, if they know you, they know how you are.
And the bottom line is, it's not just the wishful master or the grand master. Okay, it needs to be the brother sitting in the north. Every master mason. This is why you have progress. Masonry is a progressive science. So we start off out here in the world with all these people and decide we want to do something better for ourselves. So we move to the porch of King Solomon's temple. We get indoctrinated or exposed to principles and precepts and so forth. We move from the outer chamber to the inner room, outer room to the inner room. The inner room, we get exposed to the gifts and the fruits of the Spirit. Gifts
and fruits.
And the fruit of the Spirit.
Singular.
Now we're opening ourselves up for revelation. We're setting up this connection here, okay? So that we can become strong enough and move from the inner court to the Holy of Holies or the Sanctum Sanctorum. Okay? So, again, we're not going to get there, or we'll be perpetrating a fraud in there if we don't have integrity and humility.
Yeah.
So, as a leader, our integrity should never be questioned.
First, yeah. You're welcome.
Okay. A little personal story. I sell pre-need funeral plans for funeral homes. And there's one funeral home, my ace, I call it. The guy gave me the office space, telephone, AC, file cabinets, desk, the whole gamut. And I've been there since '97, and he's never charged me one penny. And when I went there in '97, I was selling for 5 funeral homes. One of them was less than a mile away from it. Okay. Had one guy ask me, well, why would I let you talk to my customers? Because you got an office over in this other funeral home. What's to stop you from taking my customers and selling them him? I said, good question. Let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of me taking somebody's customer and selling them a different funeral home? He said, no. I said, now I've talked to and made some sales for you. Did any of your people tell you I tried to sell them another funeral home? He said, no. I said, there's a reason for that. The reason is I don't do it. That would be less than, that would lessen my character. That's wrong. My integrity is above that. And then I really squashed him. I said, I'd be stupid to go in somebody's house who's ready to buy something from you, and I'm gonna fight them to sell them somebody else. That don't even make sense.
That makes sense. That's going against the self. Yeah.
So we don't need to talk about this no more.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. So I mean, you gotta stand steadfast.
That's good.
Given the real definition of integrity, we recognize that it is actually extremely difficult to be in integrity 100% of the time.
Yeah.
We aspire to be in integrity, but sometimes we mess up. Nobody's perfect. Sometimes our emotions get the best of us. So what does it take to become or to be someone who leads with integrity? Ooh, let me go back. We're saying that we mess up sometime, we try, and it's virtually impossible to have your integrity intact 100% of the time. Sometimes we mess up. Sometimes our emotions get the best of us. So the question, men, is what does it take to be someone who leads with integrity?
Practice and prayer.
Okay.
Well, I'll say practice and prayer, but also as you want to lead with integrity, I say you need to be a person who will be able to forgive yourself and to seek forgiveness and be able to move on past that point and still accomplish the objective.
Okay.
It's in the book, though. It says take consciousness and choice.
He can read. Consciousness and choice. Your consciousness and choices exemplify the degree of integrity you possess, which determines your value to those around you. If you don't have a high degree of integrity, and if you make bad choices, then I don't need you. I really don't want you either, because at some point in time, your bad choices and your lack of integrity is going to cost me.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hello.
Yeah. Especially if you look at it from the business standpoint of view. Man, it can cost you
Business,
quickly. Yeah.
business, social,
Yeah.
family, lodge, you name it.
Yeah.
If the person does not have integrity, if they'll do anything, this and that and the other, and if they make bad choices, eventually they're going to hurt you. So a lot of times we have to sit our children down, our spouses down, our girlfriends down, or business partners, or people that work. Hey, you gotta get your act together.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we live in our choices, in our decisions that we make in life. That's what life is, you know.
Yeah.
So if we're making bad choices, man, we ain't living to do it. You know, it's not gonna go
Yes,
good.
sir.
Yeah.
And see, the thing is, we should be very cognizant of our name, because what's worth more than silver and gold? A good name.
Good name.
Why do we say that? Because somebody can come to me as I leave my house and say, hey man, Brother John Moore told me to seek you out because I need so-and-so, so-and-so. And I'm gonna stop and talk to him and probably do my best to help because of John Moore's name. Okay, here's something I'm gonna throw at you, and then we're gonna get final statements. Jesus said, ask in what?
You shall receive.
No, ask in. When
Oh,
you
Jesus,
pray,
in his name.
in his name. There you go. That's enough said. That's enough said about the word name. Okay. Name means something.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that was just given through revelation, because the bottom line is I ain't never heard that, thought about that before. But the bottom line, he tells us, ask in my name. So if I have somebody call me from Dallas, Al, and I say, call Al Brothers and tell him Herbert Ware sent you. Bam, you're going to listen to him. You're going to see what you can do for him because of the name. Okay?
Sir.
Final words, Brother Al?
That we need to continue to strive to be spiritual beings and not carnal beings, that to be a good leader, to also we need to practice, like you said, continue to practice humility and keep our egos in check, and you know, just to keep the, you know, the best of the whole group out there in the front. And if we can do that, you know, and be honest, like I said, it takes those things, and without integrity, without honesty, without being spiritually led, it's no way that we're going to be able to achieve our objectives and get what we need to get to. So
Okay.
we have to tighten up.
Okay.
Tighten up.
Brother Moore, any final words?
Yeah, man. Don't be a hypocrite. Pray, practice, work, live your doctrine. You know, establish your name and make sure that it's a good name so that you can be trusted and you have value.
Yeah.
Or create value in civilization. You add value.
Absolutely. I love that, because that's something I used to say all the time, that we seek to be of added value to everyone we see, meet, and know. Added value. You're bringing something worth. Yeah, that's super. Brother Serge, talk to us.
Yeah, sure. I think masonry is truly practical endeavor. It's not virtual, it's practical. And there's no building without a solid foundation. And ours is a holy Bible. And we should always have that in mind and have that in our heart as well. The Holy Motorcycle Law, that VSL, is powerful more than anything. And we should always keep that in mind in all our thoughts, actions, and deeds.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
That's great. Sounds great to me.
Well, next week, we're going to talk about the building leaders. Okay. So I'd say go through the book. We're going to finish this bad boy up. And hopefully we'll usher in a very prosperous, peaceful and prosperous 2022. Okay.
Absolutely.
I do want to thank everybody for joining in. I thank everyone that views this video. We ask that you do go to Amazon.com, purchase your copy of Masonic Maturity Through Scripture. There's information that should elevate your intellectual and personal moral levels. If you feel free to give us some comments on our YouTube channel. And we thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Grant, and more blessings.